It's come to my attention that a lot of you, just want an apology for what happened, and, I'm sorry about what happened. I hurt a lot of people when I was president, uh, and I'm sorry about that. Yeah. Now for the part of the video that, you don't want to watch. The boring explanation. Uh, and when I say don't watch this, don't watch this. You got your apology. Uh, I have never done emotion, nor do I ever care about it. That is why I am apathetic toward it. I don't actually care about how I feel, and I certainly do not care about how other people feel. This results in people not liking me. Because I stick to rationales and logic. I prefer lengthy explanations for what happened over my emotions. And as a result, I inherently project that out, which is why my entire page is nothing but explanations, and it seems like I don't care about the subject I'm talking about when I actually care a lot. The thing that brought this up was when I was working at Papa John's, there was this guy there that kept accusing me of hurting him. I don't know what I did, and that's probably the worst thing you can ever say to somebody that you hurt is, I don't know what I did. And I can, in explanation wise, they have red and white pills they force you to swallow, and they literally erase your memory. That's not a joke. That's why I didn't know at the time what I did. Okay. That explanation, if you were to give me that explanation, one, it sounds like a lie. But two, if you were to give me that explanation, and I guess I believed it, it was verifiable, I would probably accept it, because I always stick to rationales. I've always taken the time to understand why people did the things they did. And I think I get why everybody did the things they do, and it's because everybody thinks in emotions. Everybody's worried that they're going to be killed by the church. So as a result, they don't care about anyone else. They care about themselves. And this inherently falls into the need to blame, and blaming is the opposite of accountability. Blaming is what Blondie does. Everything is everybody else's fault. And like I said, I guess, like, maybe it's for the best. I was thinking about it. Like, I don't know if these people are just gonna murder my ass outright, or Blondie's gonna do his bullshit where he was telling me he was gonna put me in prison and then run off with Mary, and then maybe that's what people want. And maybe that's for the best, because I'm not the leader you guys want. Justice and doing the right thing and all those things. Like, I mean, Blondie murders people and rapes women and just does whatever he wants, and then screams that everything's ambiguous. There is no solid grounds for right and wrong, and maybe that's the leader everybody wants. I think of if I had to kind of sum what I'm trying to say up, because I've always been bad when it comes to emotion. Also, I have to make this video longer so I can upload it to YouTube, which is why the explanation is on here. The Middle East gave me $1 million, and Blondie stole it, withheld it from me, and then after he got me to sign the perjury, he gave it to me, knowing the Middle East wasn't going to give me that money. And Once again, had they just did the right thing, given me the money, I could have got chelation therapy. And in this situation, if it was me and I was the Middle East, believe it or not, this is going to sound super self-righteous, but just because I think in rationales, I would have gone, this idiot right here is our only hope of pulling that perjury. Let him keep the money. I don't, I would openly admit there are factors we don't understand. Okay, this guy did a good thing. He clearly said, he's against human trafficking. He's against all these things. Why did he act against his values? And that would be the question I had. And I wouldn't be okay with any damn answer from anyone, including an answer from myself, because my response was, at the time, because it was the only thing my brain could come up with in its state, was I wanted to see what would happen if I signed the perjury. Because I didn't understand at all what was going on. Nobody cares about that explanation. Same stuff with George Miller. I did a lot of things that ended up hurting George Miller when I was president, because I wasn't cognizant from heavy metals, but you could probably tell that to George a million times. The church made me apathetic. The church did this. He doesn't care about the church's accountability. He doesn't care about any of the horrible shit that happened. The only thing George cares about is his hurt feelings and the fact that he lost his daughter. And I believe he may have lost a bunch of friends because of me, but once again, I'm sorry these bad things happened. But once again, in George's position, I would have just, this guy's the only hope we have of pulling that perjury, and maybe all he needs is a little bit of money. And you might go, Bobby, a little bit of money, $1 million isn't a little bit of money. That is a little bit of money to the American health system. That is a little bit of money to the American health system. If you get cancer and you have $1 million in America, congratulations, you're broke. That's how that works. I tried to, believe it or not, this is going to be the shocker. I hired Luigi Mangione to shoot that healthcare representative because I needed healthcare and I couldn't get it when I was president. I don't know why it took so long. I guess that guy's a slow worker, but yeah. I mean, I tried turning myself into the FBI for it, and that would, by the way, lose the church its tax-exempt status. That is terrorism. And that is what I was trying to turn myself in for by going to court. I don't think this is what's going to happen at the end of this. These people are going to take every confession in these videos, everything I said, wrap it up in legal tape, and then the church will never lose its tax-exempt status. And honestly, I think the emotional need for everybody to just want to get back at me is way more important than just doing the right thing. I am implying that everybody involved in this is severely emotionally stunted, and maybe we'll never reach a point in society where non-emotionally stunted people can lead. Because the truth is every leader we have, every president works out of self-interest, and there is a lie that everybody works out of self-interest. No, there are selfless people, but they don't exhibit the traits of the selfish people. Like, Blondie probably exhibits every trait you people deem to be the guy, the ruling class, the guy that needs to be in charge. He exhibits every behavior. He's self-interested, only thinks of himself, and blames everybody else. I'm 1,000,000%. Anybody that's in this church has probably heard him cry and whine about how I ruined him. It was the other way around. I hurted his feelings, and all he wants to do is get back at me. So maybe the truth is that's what everybody wants. I think about George Miller's Dementus and the parallels between me and him, and how I talked about socialism and he talked about how he wants to help everybody and all these things, but then at the end of the movie, it's the fact that he's apathetic that I guess gets him into trouble. Is he just doesn't care about how people feel. Me not caring about how I feel, or other people feel for that matter, is how I got as far as I did. So, those of you that are watching this and are like, oh, he's apathetic, that same quality is the reason why I almost took down the church. And that same quality is something you lack, and it's the reason you will probably never take down the church. Your selfishness, your emotionally stuntedness, and your general need to seek emotional validation. As stated, you should not watch the rest of this video if you made that mistake. I'm sorry, but that is on you. And I know that sounds apathetic, but I warned you. This is my truth, and I am Captain Explanation. When I dated a girl in middle school that told me, like, you prefer rational faculties and explanations over emotional ones, and I didn't understand what she was talking about, but she was talking about me being apathetic. I think people want their emotions to be validated. I think that's why xenophobia works so well, is people feel unease around people who are different, their cultures are different, and they want the catharsis, emotional catharsis, that it's okay to hate them. And I think that's why xenophobic behaviors work so well. I think that all these needs to validate people's emotions is exactly why I guess my mission was always doomed to fail. And for those of you that, the 1% of you that are like me, that love lengthy explanations and stuff like that, there's probably like one of you out there that like rational faculties and shit. The truth is what happened is these people did the worst things you could do to a human being, and then when that didn't work, they just poisoned me with heavy metals until I signed a perjury. That is what happened. I needed chelation therapy. I needed, and I know it's super selfish to hear me say these things. But you want to hear how I view apathy? Probably not. It's when you only care about how you feel, and as a result, injustice happens. And once again, this situation could have been resolved almost immediately if people didn't just sit around feeling bad with their hurt feelings. Yeah. I think Blondie is the leader you people deserve. And I think when he leads, I think everybody's going to get the leader they deserve. Not the one they need. I think Blondie's going to do a great job of screaming victimhood, screaming everything's everybody else's fault, and all, just like Trump, just like, dude, think about this situation. He did the worst things he could do to me, and then somehow it was my fault. And think about Donald, what does he do? Blame everybody else. Everything's everybody else's fault. And these people are the people we elect. Because people think in emotional faculties. I would even, the one girl on my Facebook that like was like, oh well, Stu's this guy from my church, and I only think with emotion. So she believes is the good guy, even though he murdered these kids. He has to murder 6 kids and 7 women, but he's somehow the good guy in her brain because of how she feels. The dark truth, I guess, about the human mind isn't about it being a baboon or emotionally stunted. It is the fact that people, it's manufacturing consent, Disney movies and all that stuff. Everything is about how you feel. If if I was George Miller and I made a third Furiosa movie or Mad Max movie, I would do a thing where a guy that's completely oblivious to the Dementus situation turns up, gives Dementus chelation therapy, and removes the heavy metals from him so that he's not completely apathetic. And then the movie would start off with these people going to the island Dementus is from and getting killed, and then telling Furiosa they have resources, and Furiosa would become the new Immorta Joe. She would be a violent, stupid tyrant that's trying to get resources because everybody's in a dumb and desperate situation, because that's what the wasteland does. It turns every situation into a survival situation. So she would go after them, but then she would find out, that they can't get to the island because it's too fortified. There's too many guns, weapons, and they're dealing with rich fucks. So I would even make the statement that we should be clean. It shouldn't be wasteland. It would just be clean, rich fuck shit with rich fuck bunkers. And I would go as far as like they're all inbred in there, And then they find out that Lord Dementus, Dr. Dementus, is the only person that knows how to get into that island. So there would be this epic scene in it, and I think George would love this scene. Personally, I don't believe he watches these videos, but where they chelate Dementus, and he thinks when they rip the tree out of him, he's gonna get the feel sensation. He thinks he's gonna love it, but because he doesn't have the lead in his brain anymore, it hurts. It hurts. And you see his like crotch skin getting ripped off like molten cheese off of a pizza as they're tearing the tree from him, and he's screaming and crying and begging for them to stop. Instead of in the movie where he has the things attached to his nipple and his nose, and he lets the thing and he's like, whoa, and he loves it because it's sensation. He feels sensation. This time around, pain would be pain. There wouldn't be any of the lead to distort his thinking. There wouldn't be any of that shit. And the entire thing would be Furiosa's demented rage and hatred clouding her thoughts and making her make the wrong decision in everything. And even though she's the leader and she's the big hero, you would get to watch as her emotions just completely destroy the entire everything she ever worked for. Because all she wants to do is get back at Dementus. And then you would have a turning point about midway through the movie. Maybe before midway, because you might need a little bit longer to smooth things over. Where Dementus is in a wheelchair, obviously he's going to die from what she did to him, and she doesn't care. But she also needs him to get into the island. And the whole thing is he's a tool to get into the island. Now, Dementus is in on this because he wants to get back at his family anyways. He wants to teach them a lesson. But as Furiosa tortures him, eventually when he gets to his family and he gets to get his revenge, there's a kind of hang-up between him and I guess his father, maybe the rest of his family members that abandon him. And because he's going to be old, he's going to be Dementus the Grey. And he's going to be dying. He's going to have his weird revolver. And there'll be a scene where basically because he's just willpower and force and shit, he's an embodiment of willpower. He goes after his family, and he's all fucked up. and he feels pain for real. He's in real suffering and all that shit. And maybe he just dies before he gets to his family. Maybe he kills his family. I don't know. I don't really care for that stuff. But in between there, there's the huge war. And instead of like, or in Mad Max, there's this epic chase scene in the shooting. It would be them Furiosa driving her war party into their war party. Dementus explaining to them that basically what they need to do is a kind of pincer maneuver where they create a massive war and get them to use all their resources focusing on that war, while Furiosa and Dementus sneak in from behind. In a small group of people, you gotta have your extras, And Max has to be there. And that would be the Wastelands, is Max discovers Dementus' island, basically, and then action, explosions, all really cool V8s, and whatever the War Boys do after Immorta Joe. I think it would be funny if the War Boys just did their own resurrection ritual for Immorta Joe. They're just crazy. I think that would be funny. Yeah.